This is almost competing with your own product. What's the difference between this AI employee and then like placing a developer? What would you say? What's like an AI employee? People throw that word around, I feel like, a lot. So just could you clear that up a little bit?
Yeah, an AI employee is basically kind of the next step above like a ChatGPT agent, right? So if you've ever kind of played with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or whatever your favorite AI tool is, it's like this chat interface. You can ask it questions. It can do research for you. It can do math for you. It can do all this stuff. But ultimately, you have to be sitting in front of it. You have to have something you want it to do for it to be able to take action. So an AI employee is kind of the next step above that, where you say, hey, instead of me telling you exactly what I want you to do and how I want you to do it, I'm going to set some responsibilities for you and just give you some overall guidance and the tools and the skills that you have to accomplish this. And then you are actually going to be independently trying to accomplish these goals. So if a new email comes in, you're going to do all of the research that's required for it, and then you're going to take the action to resolve whatever that email is requiring. If we have a research project going on, you are going to go and find all the sources you need to find to be able to do the research, and then you're going to either give us the plan for us to take action on, or you're going to take action on it yourself. So it's kind of combining all of this really, really cool intelligence that we see with ChatGPT and Claude and all these other AI tools, and plugging it into the day-to-day tools that you use as a business owner or as a high-level executive of a business. You know that you have several different kind of platforms and tools and stuff that you got to have your fingers into, or your hands into. And AI agents, or AI employees, as we call them, can actually take over that responsibility and just kind of let you focus on running the business.
And this is very interesting because I know y'all do placement of developers as well. This is almost competing with your own product. What made you kind of like have the foresight to see this, or what's the difference between this AI employee and then like placing a developer? What would you say?
Even if we're building an AI employee for you, there's always going to be some level of limitation where you need somebody with some kind of real world experience that can kind of take the accountability of what they're doing. And so like with AI agents right now, we've known since they launched, there's some risk of hallucination, right? Like there's always going to be that small risk that it's going to make something up, it's going to misunderstand something, and it's going to do something wrong. And it's not going to have that level.
Even with top models as well.
The like top ones in the world. Yeah. And I could go on a whole rant about like humanity's last exam and all of these benchmark tests that are put out there for all these companies to try and cheat. You know, they're basically trying to simulate intelligence, but then when you use them in real life, you start to understand like, okay, there's a lot of like not so common sense that it just doesn't understand. And we talked about this a couple episodes ago, you know, with some of the wall of shame stuff that we talked about. And like even an executive at Meta accidentally, you know, allowed OpenClaw to just wipe out her inbox. And that just is an example of what happens when you don't really fully understand what's going on. And, you know, if you have a website or an app or a tool or whatever that's actually charging people money, there's real world liability with that. And so that's the type of engineers that we work with.
Well, also these new, like on our last episode, we talked about the Maltbook acquisition, and you're responsible 100% for anything your agent does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so like literally it's not no free reign for this thing to go like hack all the other people with their agents on the platform on Maltbook. Like all the other platforms, anybody that's allowing these things to interact with them is going to be the same, I imagine, dude.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like we're not necessarily looking to replace every single person on your team, but we are looking to make it so that you don't have to hire another person for the exact same role. And like, just to clarify on that, like if you have one virtual assistant right now that works in the Philippines or South America or India or whatever, and they're getting overwhelmed to the point that you're almost thinking about hiring another person to help them take on some of the workload, that's kind of the key point that we're focusing on right now to say, listen, before you do that, which, you know, by all means, you have the right to add another person, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's the way we've done things for hundreds of years, right? But my responsibility and what DaaS does is we more so say, hey, listen, before you do that, I just want to make sure you do understand all the options you have available to you. And so like a lot of situations we run into is like, they will have a VA, they will have some kind of like, virtual assistant type role. And that person is definitely more technical than the owner, but they don't necessarily understand what a CLI is, right? Like a command line interface. They don't understand what it means to have a service account on Google Cloud and use that to interact with Gmail and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of nuances and small things that are just beyond the threshold of what, your current employees may be able to understand. And normally you would say, okay, well, that's just outside the scope of what we can do then, because we can't afford to hire a full-time developer. Well, now you can get, at least an AI engineer or somebody that can be more technical than you and your team to at least help with some of the day-to-day issues that come up or the day-to-day minutia of just really repetitive tasks and stuff that you don't really want to do. And the companies that we help are going to be much more technically oriented, right? So they're going to be software providers, they're going to be digital creators, like people that have a lot of digital tools that they have to use as part of their stack. And even with an AI engineer, if you don't know how to ask the right questions, you're still going to end up kind of facing the same issues, doing the same amount of research. Like I'm a technical person, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I told David while we've been trying to set up this podcast, and I'm trying to get my camera right, I'm trying to get my microphone right, I'm trying to make sure the lighting is all set up. I have been brought to be so humbled because I'm like, there's so many different cables and adapters and tools and software and all this kind of stuff that goes into this. And traditionally you would hire like a video expert that has years of experience with this, and you'd pay them a couple $1,000s a day to come set up your system for you, either bring their equipment or show you what equipment to purchase. And you would be several $1,000s in an investment plus the equipment, right? Like, or at least including the equipment. So I have been lucky enough to have AI. And before I started talking to David and start, working with somebody who has a little bit more experience with this, I was just literally going in circles. Like I bought the most expensive camera, the cable didn't connect right, couldn't get for, the highest quality we need. Got a nice microphone, the port doesn't adapt right or whatever. It's messed up. Now I got to go get another. Like it's just been this chaotic experience of trying to get this, like this whole situation set up.
What do they say? You don't know what you don't know.
That's exactly. And that's where I'm coming from is like, eventually I got to connect with David. David has done this for a much longer time than I have. He has a lot more experience than I do. You can see how much cooler his setup looks than mine does, right? Like this is the best I could do. So like that level of experience, like real world experience, is still kind of irreplaceable because once David, asked me a few questions, he gave me some images of products he's used that work, that are cost efficient. Like I have the exact same cam link thing he does now. So like having a real world person that has that real life experience kind of is still irreplaceable. But a lot of the beginning stuff that is very repetitive that I could have found on Reddit if I really wanted to, if I really spent the time, I could have found this all out myself, but I would have spent hundreds of hours of research.
Hey, what's going on? David from SaaS with DaaS podcast. Make sure you click over here for some of our other episodes from the podcast. We'll see you on the next one.